Good morning, Year 11. I hope you had a nice Easter, or as nice as it's possible to have in the current situation. Weather was good though. I hope you managed to get in the garden and get some sun. It's important that you continue doing this work because I, for one, coming back after a couple of weeks off and trying to make these lessons, my brain is like treacle. So you need to keep your hand in. You will be going to college or on to further education in September. You don't want that to come as a total shock when you go back. So keep doing these lessons that I give you and send them to me when you've done them. Send me your work and I'll give you feedback on it. Your do now for today is to write 3 sentences where a semicolon has been used correctly. I've done one there underneath for you. Look, a bright light filled my window, semicolon. I looked out and the sky was filled with spaceships. There's only 2 rules really with semicolons. It has to be the clauses that the semicolon divides have to be able to stand alone as sentences. A bright light filled my window. I looked out and the sky was filled with spaceships. Both those clauses could stand alone as sentences, and they have to be linked. You couldn't have a bright light filled my window and my dinner was ready. It wouldn't make sense. They have to be linked. So just write 3 for purposes of practice and then go on to the next slide. Language paper 2. First of all, there's the I've attached the texts as a PDF, so read them. I've also got segments of them on the slides here, but have a read of the texts, and then when you've done that, we're going to first of all do question 2. Questions 2 and 3 in paper 2 are both language and structure. Question 2 is worth 6 marks. Question 3 is worth 12 marks. It's very straightforward, but I'll run through how it is that you do it. We all know how to do this. I know it's merely practice, but as we all know, a skills-based subject like English language is, you know, the practice makes you better at it. It's like the more you practice things, the better you get at them. Here's what it is that you need to do for this one. Highlight the part of the text you've been instructed to. That's lines 1 to 26. You need 1 language and 1 structure paragraph. Each paragraph must contain terminology, evidence from the text, and a comment on the effect on the reader. Remember close word analysis. That's when you pick out individual words from a quote and talk about their connotations. And the effects that these words have must be specific to the highlighted paragraph. Right, now the question is, how does the writer use language and structure to convey the effect of the smell on the narrator? Only 6 points, 1 language, 1 structure. So let's go straight in with the language, and I'm on that first line. I think the use of, to describe a smell as being embarrassingly familiar is unusual, to say the least, and I think that shows us how it unsettles her and touches something at the sort of core of her, which goes back to how the rest of the piece talks about family. But embarrassingly familiar, embarrassed, you know, your connotations with the word embarrassment are uncomfortable, someone talking about things you'd rather not talk about, you know, feeling exposed, all of those two things, and the juxtaposition of embarrassingly and familiar ties the whole thing up, really. It's because this smell takes her back to her childhood in some not entirely pleasant way. So I think the juxtaposition of the words embarrassingly and familiar is the language point there. Structurally, the big thing for me is the decision for the thing to be written in the first person, which enables all of these questions here. Which one? I can never trace it. What is it? These questions and this decision to write in the first person mean that the secret is, or what the effect of the smell is revealed to us at the same pace as it is to the narrator. So there you are. Write up your 1 paragraph there. 2 paragraphs rather, sorry. 1 language, 1 structure. Don't forget subject terminology, the effect on the reader. All right, that's only 6 marks, so it shouldn't take you more than, well, it shouldn't take you more than 8 minutes to do the whole thing, including the reading. Okay, question 3. Exactly the same skills are to be used here. on the other text, the Diary of Anne Frank, the second text, but because it's 12 marks rather than 6, you need 2 language paragraphs and 2 structure paragraphs, exactly the same as the other question. And you make sure you include subject terminology and mention the effect on the reader. Interestingly, this one is quite a short extract, so they've not picked out part of the extract for you to look at, but quite often, they normally do. So make sure that you pay attention to that. If they're asking you to look at a certain part of the text, then make sure you do. That will only ever happen on question 3, paper 2, because you've got to do 2 language and 2 structure. Anyway, let's have a look at the extract. Right, now the question is, explain how Anne Frank uses language and structure to show her feelings about the fountain pen. I'm not going to model this one for you because I did it on the previous text, and I think you only need to do, well, I say only, you need to do 2 language and 2 structure, and then write them up into a paragraph. And remember to use use subject terminology, and to mention the effect on the reader. Now, we've done this countless times, Year 11. It's all just practice. Very happy to see your work if you send it to me. A couple of you are sending me work, which I'm glad to see, and to give you feedback on. It'd be nice to see some more. And I think that's it for today. So questions 2 and 3 there, and we'll do question 4 tomorrow. Thank you very much.